When my husband first started turning off the dining room lights to eat, I thought it was just a quiet, harmless habit. I was so foolish. I stood in the darkness of our massive kitchen, the marble countertops cold against my palms. In the dining room, the only sound was the clink of a silver spoon against a porcelain bowl. My husband, Chief Ortega, was a man of power, a titan in the banking world who handled billions of naira with the wave of a hand. People called him the lion of the boardroom. But here, in our 500 million naira mansion in Lagos, he sat in total darkness, eating plain white rice. Ortega, my soul, I whispered, stepping into the doorway. Why are the lights off? Is there a problem with the inverter? He didn't look up. I could only see the silhouette of his broad shoulders and the way his expensive Italian suit jacket hung off the back of the chair. Humility, Nneka, he said, his voice deep and vibrating like a funeral drum. Success is a heavy load. If you do not learn to sit in the dark, the light will eventually blind you. I smiled then, touched by what I thought was his deep African wisdom. I thought I had married a saint, a man who understood that pride goes before a fall. But then came the first Friday. We had been married for exactly 6 months when Ortega sat me down on the edge of our massive king-side bed. The mattress was imported from Turkey, soft as a cloud, covered in silk sheets that cost more than my father's first car. Nneka, tonight is the first Friday of the month, he said, taking my hands in his. His palms were unusually cold, despite the Lagos heat. Nneka, as you know, I am a man of principles. To keep my blessings flowing, I must remain grounded. I nodded, waiting for him to tell me he was going to fast or perhaps go to the church to donate. Tonight and every first Friday after this, we will not sleep on this bed, he said firmly. I blinked, confused. Oh, are we sleeping in the guest room? He shook his head, his eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that made my skin crawl. No, my dear, we will sleep on the floor, right there by the foot of the bed. No mat, no pillow, just the bare cold tiles. I laughed, thinking it was a joke, but the look on his face froze the air in my lungs. He wasn't joking. That night, I laid my body on the hard, expensive porcelain tiles. The cold seeped into my bones, aching in my hips and shoulders. Beside me, Ortega lay perfectly still, his eyes closed, his breathing rhythmic and heavy. He didn't move. He didn't complain. He looked like a corpse laid out for a viewing. I stayed awake for hours staring at the underside of our bed, wondering why a man with 3 Mercedes-Benz in the driveway wanted to sleep like a prisoner. By the 3rd month, the humility night became a ritual I dreaded. The house would go deathly silent. Even the crickets outside seemed to stop chirping on those nights. The air in the bedroom would turn thick, like someone had poured invisible syrup into the room. It became hard to breathe. I started noticing things. Ortega's skin began to look grey like ash. His bank won award after award, and our wealth tripled in a matter of weeks. We bought a new house in London. We bought a private jet. But every first Friday, we were back on that floor. Ortega, my back is breaking, I pleaded during the 5th month. Can't we just give more to the church? Why the floor? He turned to me, and for a split second, his eyes didn't look human. They looked like 2 yellow coins reflecting the moonlight. The floor is where the foundation is, Nneka. If you leave the floor, you lose everything. I began to wonder what kind of foundation required a wife to bruise her ribs on cold stone. The silence of the mansion started to speak to me. It wasn't a peaceful silence. It was the kind of silence you find in a graveyard right before the ground starts to crack. I noticed that Ortega always insisted I sleep on a specific spot, a large decorative marble slab right beneath the heavy mahogany vanity mirror. He told me it was the center of the room's energy. But I saw the way he watched that spot. He didn't look at me with love. He looked at me like a butcher looks at a goat he is fattening for Christmas. My darlings, let me pause here for a moment. I can see you are holding your breath. Before we find out what Nneka discovered on that floor, tell me, where are you watching from today? Are you in the busy streets of Lagos, the cool air of Johannesburg, or perhaps you are far away in London or New York longing for home? Please take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the Afro Softy family. Your support is the oil in my lamp and it means the world to me. Remember, my darlings, as your script writer, this story is fictionalized and I use AI to speed up my writing process, but the human ideas and the lessons we are learning are very real. Pay close attention because the darkness is about to speak.